Grace be unto you and peace from God our Father and from the Lord Jesus Christ. I was glad when they said to me, let us go into the house of the Lord. I'm Father Steve Sellers, and thank you so much for tuning in today for my brief message of hope. As we're starting a new work week, I hope that you're in a good place today. It was a long and trying weekend for many people. And I hope that you've escaped it. Often we put all our hopes and dreams in getting a weekend so that we can relax and let go and have some free time. And what we generally do in our world today is we get some free time and then we fill it right up doing everything that we've been wanting to do and needing to do for quite some time. And so I hope you're in a good place today. And my prayer is that you are. I want to talk just briefly about something that no one really does like to talk about. I'd like to talk about willpower for a minute. What is willpower? How is your willpower today? The power of your will, the strength that we have within us to withstand uncomfortable situations for a period of time in order to accomplish some goal in our lives. Often people look at willpower as the part of them that's going to help them accomplish their goals. That by strengthening their willpower, the more they use it and exercise it, they're going to make it stronger, just like it were a muscle in the body. I don't think it is. Willpower is a little bit different than that. Some people have an image that in their system, their willpower is very weak. And others believe that if you keep exercising your willpower, it's going to get weaker. You're going to run out of it like a commodity that gets exhausted. But your willpower is part of the gift that God has given you. Willpower can only take us so far. And often people start out on a resolution, like at the New Year's, to accomplish something that's good and wholesome and purposeful for their lives. And they run out of willpower once temptation hits. And believe me, temptation hits. When you try to take on some sort of a life goal, temptation's right around the corner. And temptation comes from the evil one, who doesn't want you to make progress. The evil one wants you to go backwards and wants you to focus on the mistakes previously in your life. But you have the ability within you to move beyond that. I came across a little story, this is actually many years ago, that talks about how some people are able to withstand temptation at a very early age. In 1972 at Stanford University, a study was done that's known as the Delayed Gratification Study, or better as the Stanford Marshmallow Test, where I believe about 50 young children were brought in 1972 between the ages of 3.5 and 5.5. And the study was simply to determine what type of willpower really that the children had to resist immediate gratification. Now, we live in a society today that is focused on immediate gratification. If people don't respond to a text message immediately, we get bombarded with more. What are you? What happened? Are you away from the phone? What's going on? People need immediate results and immediate gratification. This study at Stanford was almost a groundbreaking study because it's still being perpetuated today. About 53.5 to 5-year-olds were brought in, and they were brought into a little room, and the researcher came in and placed a marshmallow in front of them. It was a simple test, and said to them, if you don't eat that marshmallow immediately, if you wait a little while, I'll give you another one, and I'll be right back. And the researcher left for 15 minutes to see which of the kids would wait 15 minutes to double the satisfaction they were going to get with a second marshmallow. I think some of them were offered a pretzel stick if they didn't like marshmallows. But the children were simply studied to see who would immediately want gratification. And what's interesting with that study is they then followed these same 50 3.5-year-olds to 5.5-year-olds for the next 40 years. They followed these children until 2012, and they were simply wanting to see how they turned out. And the results were quite astounding. Those who could delay their gratification did infinitely better in life than did the ones who went for the immediate gratification. And the test was really, I'm giving you a marshmallow, but if you don't eat it right now, I'll bring you another one. That was a test. And they found out that of these students, the little children, that those who waited, who delayed their gratification, they had better life outcomes. They did significantly better on their SAT scores. They had higher educational attainment in their lives. They had a lower body mass index, and they had an overall better quality of life. And they followed up over the next 40 years by checking in with these same 50 children to see how they turned out. And the ones who could delay their gratification, which is basically an exercise in willpower and self-will and controlling impulses, did much better in life. We sometimes take for granted the fact that God has given us the ability to resist temptation. And not only has He given us a conscience, which is His voice in our head, to help us resist temptation, but He's with us to help us resist temptation. Our willpower is running very weak in this country now as people are going for immediate satisfaction, immediate results, immediate impact, and they're losing the ability to be patient, losing the ability, like Psalm 46:10 says, to be still and know that the Lord is God. Harapu udeu ki anoki Elohim. Be still and know that I'm God. But I believe there's something even more powerful for us than willpower. And the point I want to make today, and the great news for us in the Word of Hope, is there's something more powerful than willpower: prayer power. The power of prayer is what can strengthen us and strengthen our resolve to resist the temptation to veer away from the path that God has for us or the goals that we have set for us in our lives. When our willpower fails, there is a stronger power, prayer power, and it's available to us in our thoughts. We can simply think in our mind, talking to God, who's in our thoughts anyway and knows what we're thinking, and converse with Him and ask for His help. I've been reading today out of the Psalms, and I got to Psalm 28. And Psalm 28 is a prayer, basically a petition from King David, the author of many of the Psalms. And the tradition says this was when he was in danger from his enemies, and he was crying out to God for help. When David's willpower was running very weak, when he was under temptation by all sides, he prayed this prayer. And Psalm 28 is one of the short Psalms. It says, "To you I call, O Lord, my rock. Do not turn a deaf ear to me, for if you remain silent, I will be like those who have gone down to the pit." David is acknowledging that at that point, without God's help, he was going to fail miserably. "Hear my cry for mercy as I call to you for help, as I lift up my hands toward your most holy place. Do not drag me away with the wicked, with those who do evil, who speak cordially with their neighbors, but harbor malice in their hearts. Repay them for their deeds and for their evil work. Repay them for what their hands have done, and bring back upon them what they deserve. Since they show no regard for the works of the law and the works of the Lord, and what his hands have done, he will tear them down and never build them up again. Praise be to the Lord, for he has heard my cry for mercy. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in him, and I am helped. My heart leaps for joy, and I will give thanks to him in song. The Lord is the strength of his people, a fortress of salvation for his anointed one. Save your people and bless your inheritance. Be their shepherd and carry them forever. Now, King David may have been praying about enemies. Well, we can pray this psalm too when temptation strikes, because temptation is always at our doorstep. The evil one is always looking to trip us up. And the evil one has emissaries that are willing to help steer us away from the Lord and from the goals that he has for us. But the Lord is our strength, and our prayer power overcomes a weak willpower every day. Don't be afraid to turn to the Lord in prayer and ask for strength to stay on the path that he has for you. And remember, he's right there with you and he loves you. I hope your week is off to a great start. God bless you, and I will see you right here again tomorrow.